Hey y'all, welcome back to my live show. I'm Shanta Prince and I work with women coaches. I help them to leverage their gifts and expertise into a profitable coaching platform. So today, that's kind of like what I want to talk about when it comes to sales. Hey y'all, welcome. Hey Tara. So I want to address some of the struggles, y'all, when it comes to selling because I've been talking about some of this stuff with my clients behind the scenes. So we've been working on a few things behind the scenes. Right now, my clients are working on their next $10,000, which is amazing. Okay, let me turn my phone off before my phone starts interrupting everything. So y'all, at the end of the day, if you have a business, you gotta make money, right? And I always talk about how regardless of what you're doing when it comes to business, we talk about, like, sometimes finding people to help you get things done in your business, but when it comes to selling, you have to be the number one salesperson in your business. And the reason why I say that is because you never want your business to have to depend on someone else to be able to make money. And for example, I know of someone who was in a launch, and someone from her team quit during her launch. And so at that point, she had to step in and start, closing sales on her own because that person quit during her launch. And so she could have just said, "Oh man, I'm just not going to make money. I'm just going to have to throw this whole launch away." But because she's able to sell, she was able to step in and not have to throw her launch away, but she was able to step in and close some sales. So that's what I mean by, like, you don't want your business to have to depend on somebody else to be able to make money. At the end of the day, this is your baby. This is your vision. This is what you're called to do. So if something pops up where someone from your team quits, or maybe your team is not hitting the goals, you got to be able to train them, and you also need to be able to sell. So I want to talk about some things that cause you to struggle to sell. Okay, so if y'all have been following me for any amount of time, this is some of this stuff is probably not new to you, but it's going to be a great refresher. So the first thing is, when it comes to struggling to sell, the one thing that you got to understand is that the sale starts before the sale. Okay. The sale starts before the sale. And so, what I mean by that is, so for example, what I see a lot of people doing when it comes to selling their programs is they start selling when they're ready for people to buy, right? But actually, the sales process should have actually started way before that, way before the moment when you actually present people with an opportunity to buy. That sales process should have already been in motion, right? So what I see a lot of people do is they just pop out trying to sell something, and they haven't done the work that leads up to the sale. Okay. And we talked about this a little bit right here, where there's a lot of things that happen before you actually sell, especially when you're selling high ticket. When you're selling low ticket, the process is a little bit different. But when you're selling high ticket, there's some checks in the box that you need to have so that people are actually willing to pay you the amount of money that you're charging. A lot of times when you're struggling to sell when it comes to high ticket, it's a few things. It's either your positioning of what you're offering, or some of the things that we're getting ready to talk about. So, for example, I sold a program for $497. This was years ago. I sold an 8-week program for $497. This was, I can't even remember the year, y'all. It was so long ago. But let me tell you, I pulled that program back. I got like five clients. I pulled that program back, and a month later, I sold the exact same program for $1,997. And guess what? It sold. The $497 program didn't change anything except for the price, and sold the same program for $1,997, y'all. It's in the positioning, right? It's the same. I'm delivering the exact same thing, but the way that it's positioned can influence the sale of it. That's important, okay? So one thing that keeps that one thing that causes you to struggle to sell, number one, is not showing up, not being visible. Okay. This is why with my clients, I work with them on creating consistent content so that their audience is seeing them every single week. Even if it's once a week for 10 minutes on video, Their audience is seeing them or hearing from them every single week, okay? And that could be, your content could be whatever you want it to be, but what that does is it begins to build trust. If your audience is seeing you every single week and you're providing them with some valuable content, you're motivating and helping them to stay inspired and you're giving them insight, then they start to trust you more. And then when it comes to you getting ready to sell them something, now they're ready to buy because they've been seeing you every week. They know that you can do what you say you can do because you've been hanging out with them every single week. Okay. So when I see people selling things, they're trying to sell something high ticket, but they haven't been showing up, then that makes the sale, it causes a struggle. Okay. It causes a huge struggle. Why? Because when you pop up trying to sell something and your audience haven't seen you, it's like, okay, where you been? And why should I buy this, right? So showing up on a regular basis changes the game when you get ready to sell something, especially high ticket. This is why I say the sale starts before the sale. Okay. This is just like when I was talking to my clients on Tuesday night about the process of taking someone from being interested or taking someone from looking at what you're offering to moving them through a funnel to convert them into a buyer, right? The idea is when you're working with people, you have to take them at some point, they were just interested in what you offer, right? And then they bought. But there's a process that takes place between that person being interested and the person actually buying. Okay. And that's what I went through with my clients last night so they can understand how to move people through the buying process in the direct messages. Okay. And that's a very powerful skill to have. Okay. I was able to close about 6 figures in sales by the stuff that I worked with my clients on Tuesday night. But I'm teaching them how to not just start selling when you're ready for people to buy. The sale starts way before that. Okay. So if that's one thing that you take from today, take that the sale begins before the sale. Okay. So number one, showing up. The second thing is when it comes to selling, a lot of times it's very difficult for you to close a sale or to sell when you haven't been serving. Okay. And what I mean by serving is engaging with your audience, engaging with your audience on a regular basis. However you engage, if it's through the direct messages, if it's through email, if it's in your group, however you engage with your audience and you're serving them. You guys, y'all send me stuff all the time, right? I get stuff from my clients, I get stuff from non-clients, and I love hearing from you because that's how I know what kind of content to create. That's how I know what you need. That's how I know what to offer you because y'all talk to me and you tell me, right? You tell me what you need. You tell me what you're experiencing, and that's how I know what you need. So I'm thankful that I have a relationship with y'all where you can message me and I'm going to respond. As a matter of fact, I got a message from someone who is not a client, but she did a workshop. Do y'all remember the workshop that we did with the launch, the upgrade? She did the upgrade, and then she took a couple of other workshops that I did, and she closed her first client based on just the stuff that I teach in my workshops. Yesterday, she closed her first client. Okay. And she just took the knowledge that I've taught in workshops, a few workshops, and went out there and closed her first client. Okay. So the thing is, y'all, when you're serving and engaging with your audience, it makes it so much easier to sell. The sale begins before the sale. Okay. Yes, exactly. They're buying into your energy, right? They're buying into your excitement, your passion, your zeal, your joy, your confidence, right? To get them to that next step. Tara says, congratulations to her. So the other thing is, okay, so you want to make sure you're engaging with your audience on a regular basis, you guys. Honor them by being a part of your platform. Serve them, give them information, give them value. There's so many groups that you could be in, right? There's so many different groups that you could be in. And when someone is in your group or they're on your email list, honor them by giving them the value, right? Right, exactly. Right. and she's gonna be able to invest. And that's her goal, Tara. Actually, she's like, listen, I need to get some clients so I can get into this program. And that is what her goal is. So, y'all, I cannot express this enough. I posted this the other day. I said the fastest way to start getting some clients is to start serving people. Okay. And if you're not serving people, you're not serving your audience, engaging with them on a regular basis, it's going to make it harder to sell. So when I was teaching this to my clients, when I was talking to them about going through the process, moving people through the funnel to take them from prospect to paying, and I talked about how, if you met somebody and the first time you met them, they asked you to marry them, you might be like, okay, wait, that's a little bit too much. Like I don't really know you yet, right? That and so that's what a lot of people are doing when it comes to selling. It's like, hey, buy my $3,000 program. And it's like, wait, your audience is like, we don't know you. We don't know you that well enough. We haven't seen you. We don't know what you can do, right? So when you pop up trying to sell something, but you haven't been putting in the work, then that's how your audience feels. Like, okay, wait, I don't even know you. They'll keep scrolling, right? It's a struggle because they haven't seen you and you haven't been showing up. You haven't been engaging. Okay. Now, the other thing is, right, Tara. So, yep. So let me tell y'all a story. So, when I met my husband, y'all, this doesn't happen that often. This is not for everybody. So I don't tell people to go and marry somebody right away. But when I met my husband, we were engaged 2 weeks after we met, and we met in February and got married in June. And the only reason why we didn't get married sooner is because we were in Italy and my family is in Illinois. And I was like, my family would be so mad if I just got married without them. Like they would want to be a part of it, right? So we had to wait until we were both able to get back to we had to arrange everything, take leave, get our plane tickets, and get everything organized. And so we flew back to Chicago to get married. So engaged after 2 weeks of knowing each other and married a few months later. And y'all, it's this year be 19 years of marriage. And we have a really awesome marriage and an awesome friendship, y'all. People who know us, they know like we are best friends, but that don't happen with everybody, right? Right. So it's not something that happens on a regular basis. And I said all that to say, y'all, sometimes you will have people who meet you and they're like, oh my gosh, I want to invest. I've had people do that with me when they're like, they'll need to see a little bit. They're like, okay, I'm ready to invest. How can I get started? Right. But y'all, that doesn't happen enough to keep that revenue coming in, right? It's a rare experience. It's a rare chance, right? So that may happen once every blue moon, but not enough to keep that revenue coming in. Y'all know what I'm saying? Like you gotta really have exactly, Terry. You know. When you know, you know. So y'all, if you want to keep a consistent flow of income coming in, then you have to keep a consistent flow of serving your people. The generosity, y'all, you already know. I don't even tell you, you reap what you sow. If you're showing up and you're serving, it will come back to you. I've had people who can't invest in my program, y'all, who have one lady made me go down. I didn't even have Cash App. She messaged me every day for about a week. It was like, did you download Cash App? Yeah, I want to send you some money. I want to send you some money. And I'm like, I don't really have it. And she was like, well, go ahead and download it. I want to send you some money. So I finally downloaded Cash App, you guys. And she sent me $300 because she was like, I have to sow something. She was like, I can't do your program, but I have to sow something. And guess what? That's not the only person who did that. I had another person who did the same thing. She was like, I want to sow something. I can't do your program, but I want to sow something. It's the generosity, you guys, and the level at which I give and pour out that makes people want to give back. Even if they're not able to invest in my program, they have to give something because they're like, I got too much value out of this and I feel like I need to sow. I need to sow a seed or something. The first time I was like, oh my goodness, I don't know how to deal with this, right? I'm running a business, but I have people that just want to give, right? And so it wasn't until I heard a mentor say that people did that with her and they wanted to just give her things. And I was like, oh, I'm like, I'm like, okay, I'm starting to understand. I'm starting to understand this better, right? It's just people that just want to give because of your generosity. They feel compelled to give back. They feel compelled to sow. Okay. And so the generosity of you showing up and serving your people makes all the difference. And so how you guys see me showing up, and sometimes y'all, I'll be on here on a Thursday for an hour and sometimes even longer. And this is how I am behind the scenes with my clients. Like Tuesday night, I hope I don't run some of y'all away when I say this, but sometimes we're supposed to go for an hour, but sometimes we're on for an hour and a half. Sometimes it's 2 hours. My clients already know, look, if you gotta go, just go ahead and clock out. Just go ahead and log off if you gotta go. It's not something that you have to stay for. But if you need that extra information or the extra support, then you hang out or you go back and watch the replay. But I really work hard to make sure my clients got everything that they need. So all this stuff that we're talking about, like my clients, they already know. They already know this stuff. They know to show up. They know to be visible. They know how to get booked. They know about collaborating with people. They understand putting out regular content on a regular basis and how much of a difference it could make. That's okay, Tara. We're gonna get you up to speed, lady. It's gonna be all good. So the other thing is number 3, the third reason why you're struggling to sell is because you don't have an email list. Okay. An email list is super important to your growth as a person who's selling a service online. It is crucial to the growth of your business, y'all. Like now, y'all look, I know if you watch even I'm pretty sure I mention an email list in a lot of my videos. I'm always talking about how important it is for you to have an email list. Y'all, an email list converts way higher than a social post. Okay. And more people will buy from your email than they will from you making a post on social media. And so when it comes down to you having an email list, here's the thing. And this is another thing too that my clients know. They know about having an email list, right? And so when you have an email list, y'all, an email list is actually considered an asset. And I've said that many times before. An email list is an asset, right? Imagine having people who are on your email list who are interested in what you have to offer. You can make money by sending out an email without even doing anything else. You can make money by sending out an email. If you're offering something and you type up an email and you put a link in there, or somebody from your team types up that email and puts a link in there and sends it out, boom, you could be making money just like that, y'all, where people are just buying from your email. I'm the kind of person, I had a client in the past, she's like, I'm an email buyer. I was like, I am too. Like, I'll click your email link and buy right from the email, right? And some of your people are like that. When your email comes out and they click on that email, then they're ready to buy or sign up for whatever it is that you're offering. Okay. And so this is why I'm always encouraging my clients to get going with that email list, because y'all, it takes years to build up an email list. It takes years of like consistency and patience to build up your email list. And the thing is, like, it's so totally worth it. It is so totally worth it. Imagine if you have 100 people on your email list and you send out an email and then you get 3 new clients from that email that you sent out. It's all about being able to make money and keep your business going without being on social media. This is why I'm always talking about how when people are coming into your group, when they're coming into onto your platform, when they're listening to your podcast or however you're putting that content out, the idea is to move them from that point to the next point, right? A lot of people use social media as the first and last stop for their audience. But really, social media, that should be only the first stop in the process, right? The next step is to get them on your email list. If they're in your group, the next step is to move them to your email list. Okay. And so the thing is, y'all, like y'all, and I've talked about this too. When social media goes down, you can still make money. As a matter of fact, I was just talking to one of my clients a few days ago about her email list. And I'm like, did you start that email list yet? She's like, no, but I'm gonna get to it. She's like, I'm gonna get to it this weekend. And I'm like, yes, get that email list going, because she's getting ready to sell her program. And I'm like, you need to get that email list up and going. She'll be glad she started it now instead of waiting a year from now to get started, right? And so getting that email list up and running is a powerful way to sell, you guys. If you don't have an email list, you're leaving money on the table. And an email list is something that is very easy to set up. And they have a lot of training videos too. So if you're like, oh my gosh, this is so frustrating, go watch the training videos that platform provides, and they'll walk you step by step through everything. Here's another thing. Here's another secret. I shared this before. A lot of times, y'all, when you call some of these places, sometimes they'll do it for you. So, for example, I have a lot of experience with technology. I remember one time I called. I think it was GoDaddy. And I was like, "Can you guys take care of this thing for me? I got this one thing that I'm trying to do. Can you do it from your end?" And they were like, "Yeah," but I forgot how much they quoted me. And I was just like so shocked. I was like, "I've been with GoDaddy for like 11 years." And I was like, "Y'all gonna charge me that just to do that little quick thing?" You guys, I got off the phone with them and I did it in less than 5 minutes. And I was just like, okay, wow. Right. But a lot of times, if it's something that's just really quick, they'll take care of it for you with no charge. And I've had them do that as well. But my thing was, the way that they could have done it would have been a little less complicated, a little, it'll been a couple of clicks for them to do it, right? But for me, it took me a good 5 minutes to get in there and knock it out. But they probably could have done it in like 30 seconds on their side. Right. And I was like, I'll do it myself. Only because I had the experience in technology. Now, if you're not techie, you may have wanted to go ahead and pay for it and be like, you know what? Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and cough up this coin so y'all can take care of this for me. So you gotta have an email list, y'all. Like having an email list is like it is a very what's the word I want to use? I want to say it's like a basic part of building an online business. Okay. It's something that you gotta have. It's just like, when you are starting anything new, you want to have the basic foundational things down. And having an email list for an online business is foundational. It is a basic thing, y'all. Like it's expected and it's totally it's something that you got to have. Okay? It's just like, when you go to school, they start you off in kindergarten and then they start you in the first grade and then the second grade, right? If you're selling online, it's like if you've been selling online for longer than a year and you don't have an email list, that's like starting the fifth grade when you don't have when you don't even know how to add and subtract yet. Okay. The having that email list is the foundational thing. Now, y'all, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying you can't make money because when I help my clients get started, I help them to start making money without having an email list. Okay. We start out like that, but we don't keep going like that, right? Listen, I can help you to start getting clients and all that without having an email list, but to keep your business going, to sustain your business, to have a consistent flow of revenue coming in, you absolutely need to have an email list, okay? And that is another thing that will cause you to struggle to sell is because you're missing out on having that email connection with people. Even when I don't open an email, there are some people that I don't open their emails, but I see their names every day, right? There are some people, listen, y'all, some of you who already have an email list, you're scared to email people because you're like, well, what if people unsubscribe? Well, let them unsubscribe. Because if they unsubscribe, they're not your people anyway, right? I have people, I don't open all of their emails, but I get an email from them every single day. Sometimes multiple times a day. There's no shyness about 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 how they leverage their emails. And when you think about it, like some of my favorite stores that I buy clothes from and things like that, I get emails from them very often, if not daily. Like I'm always, as a matter of fact, one of my emails, I have like 10 email accounts. One of my emails made this weird sound, and my husband was like, "Well, what is that notification?" Because he said my phone is always doing like weird things. He was like, "What was that notification?" I was like, "Oh, that's when I get an email in my Gmail account from White House Black Market." And he was like, "Oh, so when I get this little ding, that's like one of the stores that I like to shop at because I love blazers and I'm always buying blazers." And so I go to White House Black Market to get those blazers. And so y'all, they email me like every day, right? And then some of y'all have an email account and you scared to email your people, right? If you're selling, listen, you got to get in that email. You got to get in that email account, okay? And start emailing people. Right, Tara, it is ridiculous. It is so ridiculous. I have an email account for everything. And then I have multiple businesses. So I got accounts for businesses. And then I have a spam email account for when I'm like, it's a mess. I need to get my life together when it comes to those those emails. But y'all, so you got to get your email list together. And this is something, like I said, I work with my clients on. They already know. This is something that they already are very well aware of, that they got to get that email list up and running. And that email connection can go a very long way, y'all. It's just like logging into to Yahoo and emailing your friend, except you're doing it the legitimate way, okay? Now, I talked to you before about why it's important to go find yourself an email list provider to set up your business email system. So there are a lot of laws around emailing people. And exactly, Tara, they're saying, hey, don't forget me. And that's what you want to do with your brand. You want to stay in front of mind. Exactly. Yep. That's exactly what you want to do. You want to be at the forefront of your audience's mind. Your ideal clients, you want them to see your name all the time. So when they're ready to solve that problem, they think about you. Okay. So that's it right there. So there are a lot of laws, you guys, around emailing people for business. Now, if you go look up the CAN-SPAM Act, you will see that there are some standards that we have to have when we're emailing people for the purposes of business. One of them is you have to give people a way to unsubscribe. And if you don't, that is a violation of the CAN-SPAM Act. And I've never had known anybody to actually pursue this, but there are fines. You can get fined for not meeting these requirements. Okay. Like I said, I've never known anybody to get fined, but it is on their site where it says look, these fines are hefty too. They're hefty. Yep, Tara, I had one of those too. Yep, by law, you have to give people the opportunity to unsubscribe. They are Tara, they are all the way wrong. And I've had somebody email me too like that, and I emailed them back and I said, "Can you please remove me from your email list?" And it wasn't like I had I was just really like, y'all, like people's email addresses that's like a private and personal type of thing, right? And if somebody is in your email inbox and you didn't invite them, it makes you feel like some kind of way, right? So when you subscribe, like when people join your email list, that's a blessing because they're allowing you to market to them. They're allowing you to communicate with them through email. So it is a blessing that they're doing that. They're giving you their email address. That's why when my clients, I always talk to them about creating a free offer called an opt-in offer, right? Meaning people are going to want to take you up on your offer, and in exchange for that offer, they're going to give you their email address. So it could be a free checklist, it could be a free training, and whatever you're giving them, they're going to be like, oh yes, I will give my email address in exchange for this, right? So the opt-in offer is you saying, hey, when you opt into my email list, I'm going to give you this free thing. That's to motivate people to opt into your email list, right? And I always tell my clients, make sure you honor people by giving them some good stuff because they're giving you their email address. They're giving you their email address in exchange for that thing. They're allowing you to market to them, okay? Yep, Tara. People, listen, people, they'll take advantage of you if you don't know. Yep, and they do. And I usually ask them to unsubscribe me. Like I had this one lady, she just kept emailing, but she was emailing me from like a Gmail account, and that is a big no-no. You guys, you cannot mass email people. These accounts, remember I told you I have like 10 different email accounts. I cannot go into that email account and load everybody's email up and send it out, say, hey, you guys, I'm doing my brand to sales masterclass. Click the link to join. And the reason why is because I'm emailing them for business. Okay. Now, sometimes people will reach out to you individually. If they come to your Instagram and they get your email address, they'll email you through Instagram or something like that. That is legal. They can do that. But if you just email them back and say, hey, can you take me off of your email list, or take me out of your queue, or whatever, however you want to say it. And the reason why they can do that is because they're not mass emailing you, and they got your email off of your social profile. So they're messaging you through the social profile. And I get that all the time. But if you get people who are like sending mass emails and they're like selling you, selling you or offering you something for free, that's a big no-no. They should not be mass emailing. When you have a personal email account, if you go, y'all, and read through these personal email accounts, if you read through their terms, for a lot of these email accounts, mass emailing people for business is against their terms of use. You cannot go into your, well, you could, but it's a no-no. You should not be going into your Yahoo account and emailing, 20 people and saying, hey, can you come to my free event? Now, if they're your friends, that's okay. If they're actually your friends, if you're like, hey, friends and family, I just started a new business. Let me know if you know anybody who needs these services, because those are your friends, right? But if you're emailing leads, mass emailing them through a private account, that is a big no-no, okay? So by law, you have to give people a way to unsubscribe from your emails. The other thing by law is that if you're emailing, you have to have a physical address in the email. So when y'all get emails from me, you will see at the very bottom there's an opportunity to unsubscribe, and at the very bottom you'll also see a physical mailing address. Those are two things that by law you have to provide for people who are on your email list. When you get an email list provider, they're already putting you in the right terms, in the right standing with the law, because at the bottom of the email, they're giving your people a method to unsubscribe, and they automatically display your physical address at the bottom of that email. Okay. And you can mass email because that's what the whole purpose of it is for, right? It's a way for you to send mass emails so you can communicate with your people. So for a lot of these personal accounts, Gmail, Yahoo, and stuff like that, you got to pay attention to the terms of use, because sometimes, if you're trying to do that for business, it's against their terms of use. Okay. Now, this is not the same thing as if you have, let's say you want to start your photography business on the side, right? And you create, I don't know, princephotography@gmail.com. So you can have a separate email account that people can email you at for like stuff like that. Now that's a little bit different. If you're not like mass emailing people, then you could do stuff like that from like a personal. If you want to have like a separate account for certain things, but if you're mass emailing people for business, you gotta have an email list provider so you could be in the right standing with the law. Okay. Tara says, why is that though? The address has to be provided. I use PO Box. For real. And it's not, notice I didn't say your home address. You just got to have a physical address. It doesn't have to be your home address. You just have to have an address at the bottom of that email. So for me, I use UPS Box because like Tara said, folks are nutty out here, right? So I use a UPS Box. If you go to the UPS store in your area, you can get a UPS Box, and it's a physical address, and that is my business address. And I go there and I check the mail just like I would at home. And so, but yeah, so as long as you have a physical address that you can put at the bottom of the email, I do not recommend using your home address. I do not recommend that. Okay. I definitely recommend you going to invest in another type of, one of my clients is getting a virtual mailbox. And that's another thing that you could do. There's virtual mailboxes out there. But y'all, what I found though, with the virtual mailbox versus the UPS box, the UPS box costs less than the actual virtual mailbox. But it's up to you how you want to do it. As long as you have something set up to where you can have that address so you can be in right standing with the law. Okay. So if you haven't, if you know your email list, if you don't have an email list, or if you have one, but you don't email your people ever, then start emailing, right? So y'all gonna see an email come out from me later on today. But you gotta start that email list, right? That's a foundational part of building an online business, having that email list. So you're not leaving money on the table. Okay. Now you'll see a lot of advertisements where people say, oh, I did this without a list, do this without a list. You can start making money without a list. But I promise you, every single ad that you see where people say, "Oh, I made my first 25,000 I made my first $25,000 without a list. I made my first $100,000 without a list." You can, but if you're in this for the long game, you need an email list. Here's the other thing. I promise you that every single person who says stuff like that, I guarantee you they have a list right now. If they're like, oh, I made my first $20,000 without a list. Oh, I made my first $100,000 without a list. Oh, you can do this without a list. Ask them if they have an email list. Guarantee you they do, right? Because starting out, you can do these things, right? But when you're in this thing for the long game, and this is what I'm telling you, it takes a long time to build a list, right? It takes patience, it takes consistency, it could take years to get your list to where you want it to be, right? So if you start now, imagine where you'll be at the end of the year or next year, right? An email list is a collection of people who are interested in what you offer. And then when they're no longer interested, they can unsubscribe at any time. And that's totally okay. I remember I used to feel so bad when people unsubscribe. I used to be like, well, man, like, what did I say or what did I do? Sometimes it's not even personal. Like for me, sometimes I have to go through and unsubscribe because I just got too much stuff going on, y'all. And I'm like, sometimes I get so distracted because I'm like, oh, look at these shoes. Or, oh, this is a nice color lipstick right here. Or like, so sometimes I have to unsubscribe from things because I'm just distracted, right? And it's nothing personal to the person or the company. It's just like, okay, I'm just so distracted. But I used to really feel some kind of way when people unsubscribe. But now I know this is the normal part of having an email list. And as long as you're in compliance with the law, hey, give people that opportunity to unsubscribe. And don't take it personal when people unsubscribe, okay? Because I used to do that. And listen, you don't need that kind of energy in your life, right? Just let people unsubscribe and then you just keep it moving. Yes, Tara, yes. Yeah, Aweber is great. I was just talking to one of my other clients about Aweber. And I was telling her how I was talking about this other email list provider that I do not like because it's not user friendly. Y'all, I have a degree in computer studies. And I was in IT in the Navy for 10 years. And I struggle with MailChimp, right? I struggle with MailChimp. And I get frustrated because I'm like, why is this right here instead of right here? And why is this right? Y'all, like by the time I finish using MailChimp, like I'm like, I'm fuming because I'm like, it's this taking too much of my time to figure this out, right? So I recommend Aweber or ConvertKit for your email list provider. And Tara is so they're both very user friendly, and that's why I recommend those two. I've used both of them, and I've flopped back and forth between both of them because I love them so much. They're very user friendly. So yep, I would recommend Aweber or ConvertKit for your email list. And then once you get that email list, and then you start promoting your free offer, you'll start getting people on that email list. I was just talking to somebody the other day, and she's like, "Yeah, I've been giving out." She's growing her email list because she's promoting her free offer. Remember when I said honoring people by like creating something of value that that you can give them in exchange for their email address, right? This is another thing that I work with my clients on. Okay, let's get your freebie created so that you can offer something for people to get on your email list. And then from there, you just email them. And then when it's time for you to sell something, you're already connected to them, right? You're already connected to them. You don't have to do all this extra work to try to close the sale because you're already connected with them. Okay. So, and the last thing, you guys, that makes you struggle with selling is your mindset. Your mindset will cause you to struggle with selling, y'all. Like I was stuck with selling for a very long time, and this is why now I'm so passionate about sales. And I've been talking about sales probably more than anything. Like I'm talking about sales in all kinds of different ways because I understand the power of selling and why it's so important for a business, right? We got to make money, so that means we got to sell. No matter what business you're in, you got to sell. There's no business that doesn't involve sales, okay? You have to sell. You got to make sure you're facing it and saying, you know what? This is what I've said this before. You got to decide that you're going to get great at it because you can't run from it. You can't run from sales, right? So you might as well decide, okay, I'm going to get good at selling. I'm going to become great at this thing. I can't run from it. The only way my business is going to make money is with selling, right? So you got to sell, right? So the mindset behind it makes all the difference. So let me tell y'all a story. So Tara says a few groups I joined on FBS field. Yes, they do, and when they do that, Tara, they add you to their email list. When they ask for your email address, they just put you, they'll go in there and manually add you to their email list. It's a great list building tool. Yep, and you can implement that as well. So y'all, so I have two other businesses besides my coaching. And the other business that I started is a real estate preservation business. And there are three different lines of service that my company provides. One of them is maintenance on like real estate REOs, properties that are in the process if the homeowner is filing bankruptcy. Um, so basically, my company gets contracted out by other companies to take care of real estate properties. And so there are three different like lines of service. So for example, one of them is inspecting real estate properties, another one is lawn maintenance, and then the other one is other kinds of maintenance, right? And so I'm in the process of recruiting people to help because there's so much work to be done, y'all. Like I did not realize how much money there is to be made. I mean, we all know that, real estate is a great way to anything that you're doing in real estate could be really lucrative, right? So I don't physically do like I was telling some ladies this the other day, and we were talking about, she's like, "Why are you wearing this fanny pack?" I was like, "Girl, I've been working." And I was explaining to them what I do, what my new business does, and things like that. And I was like, I do like lawn maintenance, and they were like, "You cut grass?" I was like, "No, ma'am. Contractors cut the grass. Like I'm not getting out there cutting grass. That's just one thing that just if first of all, if it's not that I wouldn't do it, look, you don't want me cutting your grass, okay? You do not want me to cut your grass because your grass won't be right after that. You may have to just go ahead and pull it all up and get some sod by the time I get done. But contractors cut actually do the cutting, right? And so the thing is, you guys, so the one of the lines that I'm working on right now is the inspection line. And so when I first started doing inspections, right, this is my company, I'm the owner. So I'm getting these inspection orders and I'm like, oh my gosh, I got to go and like do these inspections, right? So at first, I found myself really frustrated because I'm like, these inspections do not pay enough, right? I'm looking like, you guys, y'all see my programs. So for me, I'm like, my VIP days run anywhere from $2,500 to $7,500. Okay. So in my mind, if I'm out for 3 hours doing inspections, I'm like, I could have made $2,500. Like, why in the world am I out here working for peanuts, right? That was my mindset at first. Tara said, you tell the best story. That was my mindset at first. I was like, this is not paying me enough money. I'm like, I cannot be doing this. I'm like, I could make $2,500 in the time that I did these inspections, right? So I had to really like check my own self, you guys. I was having a mindset issue. So I had to check my own self, right? And I'm like, this is my company. And I'm up here acting like I'm beneath getting out here doing inspections. Like, what in the world is wrong with me? Right? So, but some of y'all do the same thing. You be like, I'm not doing that. And it's your company. And you're like, I'm not doing that. Get somebody else to do it, right? And that's okay if you're in the space to be able to hire those things out, but you still have to know about it so you can know if that person is doing a good job or not. You have to be able to lead people. So you got to have some kind of understanding of what they're doing. And so the thing is, so for 3 weeks, y'all, I've done inspections for 3 weeks. And it's actually really not that bad. I was just really frustrated because I'm like, listen, this is not paying me enough. But deep down inside, I'm like, this is somebody's dream like thing. Like if there's somebody out there who was like, if I just had a way to make money while my kids are in school, where I can be flexible and just get out here and make my money, drop my kids off, go make my money, and then go pick the kids up. I'm like, this is somebody's dream thing, right? And I'm like, as the owner of this company, I have to be able to lead the way. And so I had to suck it up and check my own self and say, okay, let me just focus on just crushing it, right? Y'all, before I knew it, I realized I'm like, this seems like a tiny bit of money, but like these little inspections start to really add up. And then when I got an email saying, "Oh, we're sending you like," I think my total was like almost $600, and I was like, those little numbers actually add up, right? So right now I'm in the process of bringing other people on and so that they can do the inspections and I will just be in the leadership position. But y'all, now guess what? Because I've done it for 3 weeks, I can actually teach other people how to do this. Because the people that I'm bringing on are going to be representing my company. When they're out there inspecting properties, they will be representing my company. And now I have the knowledge and the experience to be able to train them pretty through because it's not that hard. It's really not that hard. I have the knowledge and the experience to be able to train them well and to help them to navigate through the different situations when they're out there in the field doing these inspections. But y'all, imagine if I was like, I'm not doing that. I'm not gonna do that, right? It's very difficult for you to turn something over to somebody if you don't even understand it or know or know what you're doing. Even if you don't understand the technical parts of it, you still need to have an overview, right? You don't have to know how to write and run a Facebook ad in order to bring somebody on to write and run your Facebook ads. But you do need to know if your Facebook ads are performing well or not. Because how do you know if that person is doing a good job for you? How do you know if the copy is good? How do you know if the language is connecting with your audience, right? So as the CEO of your company, you still have to be able to lead. And in order to do that, you cannot be beneath anything when it's your company. Okay. It's one thing if you're working at a fast food restaurant, right? And I've had my share working in fast food restaurant. As a matter of fact, that's why I make bomb tacos today. Because when I was in high school, I worked at Taco John's, honey. And listen, I make some bomb tacos. The other day, I was like, you know what? I told my husband, I was like, I think the reason why I make such good tacos, my family, they love taco night, y'all. I was like, I think the reason why my tacos are so good is because I worked at Taco John's, honey. Listen, I can make a taco. My proportions are always, as a matter of fact, I got a raise because my proportions were, y'all know how, if y'all worked in the fast food restaurant, you know what I'm talking about. They have proportions. Like you put this amount, this much meat, this much lettuce, this much potatoes, tomatoes. And so I learned how to do the proportions very well. And so when I make tacos, y'all, they are perfectly proportioned. Everything is perfectly seasoned. Like my tacos are amazing, right? All because of working in that fast food restaurant. Okay. But it's one thing to work in a place. And we all have to do that to get to where we're trying to go. But when you're the owner, listen, if you own the taco place and you're beneath making tacos, that's a problem. Okay. Yeah, you eventually like you won't have to do that. But if somebody quits, guess what? I worked alongside my manager many days. Even though she was overseeing everything, there are many times where she had to jump in and get on that steam table with us and make tacos, right? Just because she was the man, she wasn't the owner, but the owner owned two places. But I guarantee you, if she quit and nobody else could come in, I guarantee you he would have showed up and put on the shirt and got to making those tacos, right? And that's the whole point that I'm getting at. You as the owner or the CEO, you cannot be beneath anything in your business, in your baby, in your vision, right? It's all about the mindset, okay? So now I'm not talking about those situations where you're like, you know what? I'm not a website builder. And I know that that's not in my wheelhouse. So I'm going to hire that out. I'm not talking about that kind of stuff. I'm talking about the stuff that you can do that you just like, I'm not doing that, right? Like selling. You got it. That's one thing you can't be beneath selling. You cannot ever be beneath serving. You cannot ever be beneath answering questions for people, being present for your audience. You have to understand that as the owner of your business, no one is going to keep that vision alive but you, and you have to be willing to do that. So your mindset around selling, your mindset around doing the things that you got to do to get that business to the next level, your mindset around serving, y'all, like I cannot express this enough, especially for those of you who invest. When you're investing in yourself, you got to get a return on that investment, right? So the way that you get the return is by actually doing the work. And when it comes to mindset, you can never be beneath the work. You can't be too good to do the work, right? Just like me with the inspections, you can't be too good to do the work, right? And so at the end of the day, you to make your business super successful, you have to have processes that you can that are repeatable, that you can pass down. And a lot of times the way that you get those processes is by you going through some of it first. Okay. Now I'm not talking about like, like I said, like building a website, right? That's not something in your business that you're going to need somebody to do, that's going to have to be repeatable. A website usually is a one-time thing. You're going to hire somebody to do that website and it's going to be done, right? And then maybe 5 years later, you may want to upgrade. You hire somebody else to come in and build that website. I'm talking about the day-to-day things like sending out an email, making a post, closing a sale. Those are things that you cannot be beneath. Okay. You cannot be. Another thing too, a lot of people do not like talking to people. And my clients, they hear this from me all the time. You can't be beneath talking to your audience. You can't be beneath talking to people either. So many people are struggling to sell because they don't want to talk. They want to do everything without talking to people. And when I say talk, I don't always mean it has to be a sales call. One of my clients is selling a program, and she was like, "Well, what can I do without getting on a consultation call?" And I'm like, "You don't need consults for this. You don't need to do consultation calls for this because of the price point. For the higher price points, I do recommend doing a consultation call." But I'm like, you don't need to do consultations for this. So in that sense, that was different. That wasn't her saying, I want to talk to people. It was her saying, okay, I don't need to do consultations for this price point. So what else can I do to sell this without doing the consultations, right? But she has done her share of talking to people. She's not one of those people who's like, well, I don't want to talk to people. No, she was just like, okay, how can I sell this thing without, without getting on consultation calls? So that's a whole different thing. But you got to be willing to talk to your people. That's another thing. You can't be beneath that either. So that's what I mean by like the mindset things that cause you to struggle to sell, right? You can't be beneath the things that are going to get your business to the next level. So in many cases, it's about really humbling yourself, like I had to do with these inspections, y'all. I had to really humble myself and say, okay, you know what? These inspections don't pay like what I'm used to being paid, but this is my company. This is my company, right? So like I can't be out here not wanting to do certain things to get to that next level, right? I feel like the higher you go, y'all, I believe this at the bottom of my heart that the if you want to go high, you humble yourself. The more humble you are, the higher you go. And when you're walking in humility, which I highly encourage that for every single entrepreneur on this earth, to really walk in humility and be willing to do the things that are going to get you to the next level, and not be too good, or not be don't get so far ahead that you can't do those things in your business that you need to get done to get to the next level. Okay, you got to know the difference. Like, yeah, you're gonna hire people, right? But you're not too good to roll your sleeves up and get your hands dirty either, right? Right. Um, right. Exactly. You are absolutely right, Tara. So yeah, there's a difference right there, Tara. It's like, okay, now that's too much. And I don't want you guys exhausting yourselves doing super duper long consultations. But y'all, can I tell can I tell y'all a secret? When I first started really learning how to sell, I was spending way too much time on consultations. Y'all, if you're doing this stuff that I'm talking about, your consultations will not need to be long at all. Yep. Listen, here's a quick tip, y'all. This is when I'm working with my clients, this is something we talk about. By the time somebody gets on a call with you, they should already be familiar with what you do. That way, see what's happening is if you don't show up on a regular basis, if you're not sharing content on a regular basis, if you're not emailing your people, if your mindset isn't right, yeah, by the time when you get somebody on a call, it may take a super long time because you're trying to work through all of those steps all at once. This is what I talked about with my clients on Tuesday night. I talked to them about how to work through the process. So by the time you get on a call with someone, they already know you, like you, and trust you. If you're getting on a call and you're building trust and you're trying to get to know them and they're trying to get to know you, then you got on that call prematurely, and your call is going to be a struggle. because you're going to have to spend too much time. You're trying to go through all the steps on one phone call. Okay. And the thing is, you have to work through the process so that by the time you get on the call, it's like, okay, I'm ready to do this. Right. So it's just like, for example, when I go to the dentist, my dentist is so bomb, y'all. Like, she is really good at what she does. But I always tell them, I'm like, when I come in here, I feel like y'all are my cousins, and like, because it's just everybody's just so friendly. And I'm like, I really like y'all, but I don't like seeing y'all under these circumstances. Can y'all invite me to the company cookout or something? Because I don't like coming to see y'all when I know you're getting ready to stick a needle in my gums. Like, I don't like seeing y'all under these circumstances. But you guys, the way that my dentist does when she does the numbing, like she pulled three of my wisdom teeth. And I went to this first dentist, and he pulled one. It was horrible. That was like, y'all, it was a nightmare. But the thing is, a dentist told me 10 years ago that my wisdom teeth were going to need to be pulled. And I was like, mm-mm. I'm like, you're not taking my wisdom teeth. But now I understand why. It wasn't that, it was just the way that my mouth is structured. He was like, you're gonna have to get those out. And I was like, mm-mm. And so I kept my wisdom teeth. But guess what? Fast forward 10 years later, I had to get them out. And so I went to one dentist, and the experience was just horrible. And so I wanted to go get the other ones done, but I think something happened where I think it started to hurt, and he wasn't available to do it. So I found this dentist who was actually open on Saturdays. And I went to her because, listen, when you get a certain kind of pain, you forget about all that stuff. When you're like, if you don't look, I don't like going to the dentist, but if my mouth is hurting, I will track a dentist down. Okay. If my tooth is bothering me, or something in my mouth is bothering me, I will track a dentist down, even though I don't like going. But it's because I want that pain. I want that pain taken care of. So when I went to her on a Saturday because my wisdom tooth was bothering me, she took me in. That was my first time, y'all. I have not. She has been my dentist ever since, and this was like, I don't know, 2017 or something like that. She's been my dentist ever since. So I went in there, and the way that she like numbed everything up, it was like I didn't feel it a thing. I didn't hear it. Y'all, she got the tooth out so fast that I was sitting there like, is that it? I was like, she was like, yeah, it's out. And I was like, I don't even know how she did that. Right? I was like, oh man, that was great. But y'all, even though she's really good, like, I still like, I don't like it. I don't like going there. I close my eyes when they get ready to put the needle in my mouth. When my daughter had to get a fill-in one time, and I asked her, I was like, I hope she don't choose me. But I asked her, I said, well, which parent do you want to go in there with you? You want mommy or daddy? And she was like, I want daddy. And I was like, praise God. So, because I'm like, y'all, how am I be in the dentist office helping her when she got to get a needle in her mouth when I'm scared? Right? I'm scared to get the needle in my mouth. What am I say to her? You know what I'm saying? So I'm so glad her daddy went in there with her, because that is how much I dislike the dentist. But y'all, can you imagine if that dentist went to pull my wisdom tooth out without numbing me up first? Y'all, the struggle would be so real. Okay? It would be painful. It'll be tough. Not just for me, but for her too, because we're gonna be wrestling. But y'all, when you pop up and try to sell something, that's kind of like what it is. It's like you just getting ready to go pull the tooth out, but you haven't numbed up the patient first, right? So when you're selling things, and when you're selling high ticket specifically, you have to have some type of process where you're taking people through. This is why I said you got to have a sales process, right? You have to have a process that you take people through when you take them from prospect to paying. Okay. And if you're just popping up and selling something, it's going to be a struggle. I'm not saying it's not possible, but I'm trying to make things help you to understand how you can make selling easier for yourself. If you're doing the stuff on a regular basis where you got a routine, you got your content routine, you have your time where you're engaging with your audience, you talk back to your audience, you comment back to them. Listen, celebrities don't have to comment back to people because they're celebrities. Okay. People are going to comment on their stuff anyway. But we're not celebrities, right? So we got to talk back to our people, right? If somebody comments on your post, respond to them. Click like, click love, make a comment back to them, right? That's engaging with your audience because that shows them that you're present, right? And that their idea of you as hiring them as your coach is going to be based on the interaction that they're having with you before they even buy. This is what I mean by the sale begins before the sale. When people are buying from you, that sale started before they actually bought. Okay? That sale started before they actually bought anything from you. Okay? So keep that in mind, right? Yes, ma'am. Tracker did is down. So think about this, you guys. So when it comes to you growing your business, selling high ticket, you want to show up on a regular basis. You want to be visible. You want to be seen. The next thing you want to do is you want to make sure you're serving your audience. You're sharing them. You're sharing valuable content with them. You're engaging with them on a regular basis. And then if you haven't already, make sure you get your email list up and running. That is an important part of selling because check this out. You guys, when I'm selling something, you very rarely see me post a flyer. The only time you see me post a flyer is if I've already talked about it. So, for example, I had a client, she reached out to me and she said, "Can you look over this flyer? I'm getting ready to post this." And she's like, I was just trying to see if I want to get some clients. I want to see if I can get some clients. And I said, "That's not how you get clients." And she was like, "I know, but it's just, I just want to do it for informational purpose." I'm like, okay, as long as you know that, right? As long as you understand, okay, this is for informational purposes. Because I didn't want her to think that when she makes the post of her flyer about her program, she's going to automatically get clients, right? And I'm like, okay, that's not how you get clients, right? You can't just post a flyer and then expect people to click your link, right? There's things that happen up to that point, right? Now, when I post a flyer, usually when you see me post a flyer about my program being open is because I'm in a launch. Okay. I very rarely ever will just post some kind of flyer about, what the most time that people hear the most common time when I talk about my program most frequently is during a launch. So usually when I start talking about my program in a launch, then you'll see me post a flyer. And the reason why I do that is because the momentum from the launch that will make people click the link and buy because they've been hanging out with me for 4 days and I've been teaching for an hour or more for the last 4 days. And then when I post my link, they're like, "Yes," because everything that I've been hearing coming from her has been so good. I'm ready to go to the next level. Let me get started, right? I don't just post a flyer out of nowhere and say, "Hey, here's my new thing," right? No, because I only do it when the momentum has call for that. See, a lot of people think you just post a flyer and you get clients, and that is not how you sell a high ticket program, you guys. Okay. I had another client who just created her flyer for her program. And I said to her, I said, "Okay, now selling a program from a flyer from just a flyer is very difficult." And I'm like, "What else do you have? Like, what else is in your plan?" And she's like, "Oh, I'm doing this." She's like, I'm gonna do reels. And I'm like, "Okay, good." Because see, that's what I mean by like my clients, they know, right? If they're posting a flyer, they know like that just because I post a flyer, it doesn't mean I'm getting sales. This is for informational purposes only. But I'm always asking, okay, like what is your other plan? Because just the flyer is not gonna do it. Okay. So you gotta have something behind that, right? You got to have the kind of like, like when you're flying a kite, there has to be wind to help lift that kite up into the air. When you post a flyer, you got to have the wind behind that flyer, okay? Which is the stuff that I'm talking about, okay? Showing up, creating content on a regular basis, emailing your list on a regular basis. Your mindset to sell is on point. So when that flyer is posted, it's like, "Oh yeah, I watched Tara's video last week and I can't wait to join her program," right? But like I said, you guys, a lot of people are just popping out of nowhere and they're trying to sell and they post their flyer, not realizing that if you haven't done the work up to that point, it's going to be a very difficult journey to close those sales. If the sale starts before the sale, right? What are you doing before you start selling? What kind of content are you putting out before you start selling? What kind of wind are you stirring up to help you to close more sales? Okay. So usually if someone clicks your link and invests into your high ticket program, it's because they already know you. No one is clicking your link and paying you $3,000, $4,000, $10,000 when they have seen nothing from you. Do y'all get what I'm saying? You gotta really work on that momentum and get that wind going behind that post, right? If you make a post and you post your link, but you haven't done the work, y'all, I'm telling you, it's gonna be a struggle. So all of the stuff that we talked about up to this point is just stuff for you to start thinking about to help you to close more sales so you can minimize the struggle because business is hard enough, y'all. If you think about these things and how you can start applying some of this stuff, I promise you it will make all the difference in the world when it comes to being able to sell your high ticket programs. Okay. All right, you guys, this has been so awesome. Thank y'all so much for those of you who have been hanging out. If you're watching me from YouTube, you can email me at info@shantaprince.com. I've gotten some emails from some of my people who watch from YouTube. You guys, I'm not even actively building on YouTube, but people still tune in and watch from YouTube. So thank you for those of you who are watching from YouTube. But if you have any questions from over there, just shoot me an email at info@shantaprince.com. And for those of you who are inside of the group, I'll see you inside of the group soon. And other than that, you guys, I hope you have a wonderful Thursday and a beautiful weekend. And I'll see y'all back here next Thursday at the same time in the same place. Have a great one, and I'll see you again soon.